Hello, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. And if you are a recurring viewer, thank you so much for stopping by my channel again. I really appreciate it. So right off the bat, I would like to address the fact that I have been absent for a very long time, and I just wanted to apologize for that. I've been pretty sick for the last couple of weeks, and so I really have been in no shape whatsoever to be filming, and I'm on the end of it now. I'm definitely improving. I still have a bit of a scratchy voice though, so I do apologize for that. I have some green tea here, so I'll be sipping that throughout this video, and hopefully I won't sound too much like a dying bullfrog, so hopefully that will all be good. Today I wanted to do something that I have not done in a really long time, which is a bit of a book haul. I have not bought any new books since October of 2022, so it's been quite a while, and so I thought that I would reward myself in the new year for my good behavior and buy some of the books that had accumulated in my thrift books cart. And so I have a decent stack here that I just want to go through and show you. Obviously, the last thing I need is more unread books on my bookshelves, but I've been very good, and so I thought I would reward myself. And a couple of these I have already started reading, and a couple of them are very short and won't take very long to read at all. So it's not a super huge time commitment that I'm giving myself, and so I thought, why not go ahead and buy them and hopefully turn this sort of into my 2023 unofficial TBR. A lot of these books I'd already wanted to read this year anyway, and so I thought I might as well go ahead and get them, have them on my shelves, have them ready to be read this year. So the first on the stack is George, Nicholas, and Wilhelm, Three Royal Cousins and the Road to World War I by Miranda Carter. So I've seen this one on Goodreads. I've seen this one talked about on booktube quite a lot, and so I am very excited to finally read this one. I've never read anything about Kaiser Wilhelm yet. Nicholas II obviously has been one of the figures I've read a decent bit about here lately, being on my Russian history kick. So this one I'm really interested to read. Also, I'm always astounded by the similarities between George and Nicholas. Their appearance is almost identical. It's just incredibly bizarre to me how similarly their faces are constructed. Next is The Empress of Art, Catherine the Great and the Transformation of Russia by Susan Jacques, and I hope I'm saying her last name correctly. I feel I am probably not. This is one that I actually checked out from my local library in the middle of last year, and I ended up not getting time to read it, but it's one that I really wanted to get to, so I thought I would go ahead and buy a copy for myself. This is not a biography of Catherine the Great so much as a look at Catherine the Great and her art acquisition and her cultural impact, her cultural transformational impact on Russia. She was an incredible art collector. She bought out some of the most famous pieces throughout Europe during her reign and brought them back to Russia, to Russian museums. Actually, the next book is tied in with this story. So I'm really intrigued by the premise of this book. I've also read nothing by this author, so I'm really interested. I do know a decent bit about Catherine the Great through my reading of last year, but I really haven't read a whole lot about her art acquisition, except just in passing when being mentioned in other biographies of Catherine. So the next book sort of ties into The Empress of Art, and that is The Hermitage, The Biography of a Great Museum by Geraldine Norman. And so the Hermitage is a museum in St. Petersburg where most of Catherine the Great's acquisitions are held and kept and put on public display. And as far as I am aware, this is the first and the sort of most authoritative biography of the Hermitage. And so I did digging trying to find some, and this was the first and really the only true biography of the Hermitage that came up. So I'm really intrigued to read about this. I've only read about the Hermitage, again, in passing, being mentioned in other books. Natasha's Dance by Orlando Figes had a chapter about the Hermitage, just sort of talking about the cultural impact on Russia. But I've never read anything completely about the Hermitage, so I'm excited for this. Also, I put Mylar covers on all of these hardbacks, and so some of them didn't go on perfectly straight, and so they're wrinkled, so they're catching the light, and it's kind of obscuring the cover, so I do apologize for that. I'll try to tilt it so that that's not super annoying, but I do apologize for any glare. The next is a biography of Benjamin Disraeli by Jane Ridley, and this is Young Disraeli, 1804 to 1846. So I have never read any dedicated biography of Benjamin Disraeli. I've only read about him through Julia Baird's biography of Queen Victoria, and then through Anne Wilson's biography of Queen Victoria. A couple of the other smaller Victoria biographies that I have read had chapters dedicated to Disraeli, but I really want to get a taste for his life and a dedicated biography to him. And Jane Ridley, I really enjoy her writing. The Heir Apparent about King Edward the Seventh, I believe, was really, really fantastic. I read that last year, and that's my only book by Jane Ridley to have read, so I'm really excited for this one. And again, Young Disraeli, 1804 to 1846. So this covers the beginning of his career. This won't include any of his interaction, I don't believe yet, with Queen Victoria. The next on the list here is The Polish Way by Adam Zamoyski. So I read his book Poland: A History over Christmas. I was gifted his book Poland: A History for Christmas, and in that book he mentions that it was really a rewriting of his previous book, The Polish Way. And in Poland: A History, there are no footnotes, there's no bibliography section. It's very much I don't want to say a surface history because it is still detailed, but it's more of a summary history of Poland, and he would continuously refer back to The Polish Way to say, if you want more detail on this event, go back and read my previous book. And so I thought I would pick this up because I really enjoyed reading Poland: A History. It was my first exposure to the history of Poland in a dedicated book to that subject, and not just sort of learning about Poland while reading books about the Russian Empire or things like that. So I'm really intrigued to get into The Polish Way. I really enjoy Adam Zamoyski's writing style, and obviously I really still know nothing about this topic. I've read only one book on this subject, and so I'm really hoping that this will be another really fantastic sort of information instilling experience for me. Next, we have The Age of Napoleon, which is a part of the Story of Civilization series by Will and Ariel Durant. And this was actually very kindly sent to me by a viewer. So I'm not going to say names just to, for anonymity and for privacy's sake. But if you are watching this video, you will know that you are the one who sent this to me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So the Story of Civilization series has been on my TBR for a really long time, and I have never read any of the books. I don't own any of the books, so I'm super excited to be able to start my collecting of the series with this volume, The Age of Napoleon. I still need to put my Mylar cover on this one. I thought I had done them all, but as I'm looking at this one, I realized I missed one, so I will have to fix that here pretty soon. I want to protect this cover as much as possible, or else it will just get shredded, absolutely shredded. Next is Joseph J. Ellis's American Sphinx, the character of Thomas Jefferson. This one I have actually started. I started this when I was maybe 16 or 17, so a couple of years ago, and I never finished it. I really wasn't ready for it then. I'm much more primed for it now, so I'm really excited to be able to add this to my collection. The only Thomas Jefferson biography that I have read up till now is his biography written by John Meacham. So I'm really excited to get another perspective. Joseph J. Ellis is an author that I've been reading a lot of lately over the last couple of months, and so I've really grown accustomed to his writing style. So I am very interested in seeing his portrait and his portrayal of Thomas Jefferson. Next is another Jefferson book. This is Adams versus Jefferson, The Tumultuous Election of 1800 by John Ferling. This is a really short little thing, which I'm very happy about. It's nice to intersperse some shorter books amongst the longer books. It makes it a little bit easier to get through them and keep the motivation going. And so I'm really excited to get to this one. This is just sort of a little sampling, a little taste of the crazy story that is the U.S. presidential election of 1800, which I am somewhat knowledgeable on, but I'm hoping that this book will sort of give me the last little little boost that I need to become more confident around my knowledge around the election of 1800. There is one more shorter stack here left. This is another Joseph J. Ellis book, Founding Brothers, The Revolutionary Generation. So this is sort of a book of portraits of the major founding fathers and their generation, a bit of a character study. Again, it's quite a slim book, but it's it's fairly small print, so it's not really a short book. It's just a thin book. But I saw this one when I was at Powell's Books. I lost the name. Powell's Books in Portland, Oregon. And I had a stack of books. We had flown in, so I didn't have a whole lot of room. And even though this book is so small, I knew that this would be the one book that wouldn't let me close my bag all the way. And so I put it on my TBR, and I'm so glad that I picked it up at Thrift Books. This would be a really interesting read for me, just because I read briefly about each figure mentioned here, some more in depth than others. Adams and Washington I've read more of than about anyone else pictured here. So I'm really excited to get sort of a character study of some of the founding fathers that I don't have quite as much of a grasp on personally. Next is Victoria and Disraeli, The Making of a Romantic Partnership by Theo Aronson. And so this I picked up because of the Young Disraeli by Jane Ridley biography. I am very curious about Victoria's relationship with her prime ministers, and so I thought I would start off my my collecting of books on that topic with this. This came out in 1977, and it's pretty slim here. Also, it's sort of a snapshot history, which I'm really excited to read. Just having sort of a very quick, insightful look into a very finite period in Victoria's life, I think will be really interesting. Next is another book that was sent to me by the same subscriber who sent me In the Age of Napoleon. This is Stalin by Edward Rudzinski, the first in-depth biography based on explosive new documents from Russia's secret archives. And this one has been on my TBR for about a year and a half now, and I am incredibly eager to get into this. I have not read any biography of Joseph Stalin. The only times that I read about Stalin is when I'm reading about the Bolshevik Revolution. Right now I'm reading Mikhail Zygar's The Empire Must Die, and so there's quite a bit about Stalin in that book, but I've not read anything dedicated to Stalin, and so I'm really, really interested to be able to sort of fill out my knowledge of him and my knowledge of his era. I really only have ever been given snapshots and never sort of a full comprehensive look into his life and his time and power in the Soviet Union. So I'm really, really intrigued to get into this one. There are three more. The next is Abigail and John, Portrait of a Marriage by Edith B. Gellis, I believe is her last name. And this is just, I'm very interested in Abigail and John's relationship. They had some, I believe it was 2,000 letters exchanged between the two of them, and so they're one of the most correspondence documents heavy marriages of the Revolutionary War period. and so they give a fantastic picture into not only the tumultuous political events of the era, but also sort of those events through the lens of a family life, and through a very dedicated family life at that. Then I have Robert Middlecoff's The Glorious Cause, The American Revolution, 1763 to 1789. And this is a part of the Oxford History of the United States series. And this is an absolute beast. This is pushing 900 pages, I believe. But I'm really curious to get into this. This is one that I've had, again, on my TBR for a really long time, and I just decided to just go for it. I have been somewhat intimidated by the size and by the fact that it's not a subject matter of super or it's not a subject matter that I have a super grasp on at the moment, but it's one that I'm working towards having a better, fuller, comprehensive understanding of. And so I just decided to go for this, and this is going to be one of my main reads of 2023, just given the absolute size of this thing. It's going to take me probably at least a month to get through this. But I know it's going to be worth it. I'm going to slow down and really, absorb everything, and not try to fit it into any time frame or anything. And the last one here is one that I am incredibly excited about, and that is Catherine the Great, The Life of Catherine, Empress of Russia by Carolee Erickson. So this is one of the Catherine the Great biographies that I have not read yet. I've read about 8 so far, or I should say one of the Catherine the Great biographies on my TBR that I have not read yet, because there are plenty of biographies of Catherine the Great. Of the ones that I have set out to read, this is the last. I found a list of 9 biographies that looked to be the most interesting to me. I've read 8 of those. This will be the 9th. And Carolee Erickson is an author that I really enjoy. Her book, Her Little Majesty, about Queen Victoria's life growing up, was absolutely wonderful. Her biography of Tsarina Alexandra is a fantastic biography as well. And so I'm really intrigued to get her perspective of Catherine the Great. I'm going to push this to the front, to the most important reading slots of 2023, to hopefully get to it very soon, just because it is of the most interest to me at the moment. And so that is the final book of my book buying of 2023. Again, like I said, I hadn't bought any books since October, and so I don't typically get this many at a single shot, but I thought I might as well go ahead and just sort of clear out my thrift books cart. I've been really good. I'll add these up to my shelves. Most likely this will be the only book haul this year of this size. From now on, anytime that I do get any new books, it will probably just be 1 to 2 at a time. It won't be this crazy big pile, and it may not even be 1 or 2 at a time anymore. This may be sort of locking it in for a while now, because I do have a pile of about maybe 30 or 40 ebooks on my Kindle that I have been given that I want to read, and then I have still about 15 or so books on my shelves up here in front of the camera that I have not read yet, so I don't really need to keep indulging in these giant piles, but I thought that I would just go ahead and show what I got here. I'm really excited about these additions to my collection. I feel it's rounding out my collection well, and it's also giving me good material to sort of lock in some of these periods in my mind, to give myself a more comprehensive knowledge overview of some of these periods that are important to me to learn about. So that will be all for today. I will cut it off there. I'm getting a little longer here than my videos typically go. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you coming by. If you would like to leave a comment down below, please feel free to do so, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.